That's a really good insight, that we tend to focus on the projects and start everything from scratch, and then everybody wants to know how much is it going to cost. And you're like, well, I don't know. Where's my team? How do I know? So are you saying that to fund an Agile project, well, let me just turn it around and say, what do you think is the correct information that you should have to provide in order to get funding for an Agile project? Existing team or no existing team?
Well, I think it still starts with a portfolio of needs from a business, right? At least with the current client and previous client, they changed their funding approach a little bit differently. They would start with a high-level treatment, maybe just 10 high-level stories describing what the business would like to accomplish and by when. And they use that to do just an analogous estimate of the high-level cost, kind of a top-down estimate. This project's going to be about $5 million, so we need to set aside $5 million for this project. And then when the project kicks off, they'll fund just the start of the project to take that high-level set of stories and drill them down into stories that a development team can work on. And they'll fund that inception of the project, if you will, and maybe the first 2 iterations to where they see the velocity of the team. And then they'll go for a re-estimate at that time and take it forward.
Okay, so incrementally investing.
We've recognized that we have to do that, but we're not at that point yet. We're not ready and currently not funding in an incremental way. We've likened it to a venture capital funding model. Give us a little seed money, we'll do the estimating, we'll do the first few iterations, first few sprints, we'll start to build up a track record of velocity, we'll start to estimate our the scope and cost of the rest of the project, and then we'll come back for more funding until we get to a steady state. We realize that's probably the way to go on funding, but we're not there yet.
Yeah, we've sort of had a mixed model. We're seeing that in some cases. And honestly, in other cases, we haven't changed the upfront estimating process at all. Because what we haven't seen anywhere is that an Agile project will actually cost more or take longer than its waterfall equivalent. So what we'll actually do is do the estimating upfront the way that we normally would. And we'll execute differently against that, approved funding, if you will. And usually that situation, results in some improvement in cost. Not always, but universally in just about every one of these, every one that I've got statistics on today, has been some significant improvement in the time to market.
Right. The only kind of unbiased study out in the industry I'm aware of is from QSM.
Yes.
The Agile Impact
commissioned
Report.
by Rally Software in the second half of 2008.
Yeah, but showed like 37% faster time to market, 16% productivity,
and near consistent quality.
If you've heard of it.
I have. I do not work for Rally Software or QSM.
Those are impressive results. So okay, so maybe we should at this point shift gears into how do you make this work? So we're gonna let's assume we buy into this idea that there's a lot of benefits to be had, that we can align the organization processes to support and embrace Agile even at scale. What does that mean? For example, organizations are have specific roles and responsibilities. They're baked into the organization's training and hiring and management structure. What's the impact of all this Agile stuff on those roles?
All right, I'll try and answer maybe the more general how you make this work. I think the answer to the impact of the roles will come through. I mean, like any new thing, it's been my experience, any new thing, you need to infuse into the organization some people who either have done it in a prior life, or get your current people trained on how to do it. And the approach that we have taken, because one of our the missions, if you will, of this transformation program that I'm helping to lead, is to get Agile more prevalent out in the organization. We said, okay, we want to have that set of guardrails. I don't want us to create that. We could. We had a couple of individual teams that started to create their own. I said, I don't want to do that. Let's pick a partner, and you can go out and get any number of partners. Let's pick a partner who's got a pretty good, repeatable process in this way. Sort of, if you will, I don't want to create the methodology, I want to buy it, right? And so we picked a partner, got the methodology from them along with a set of training and coaching resources. Teams are not gonna, it is rare that teams are just gonna read a book on, starting on Friday afternoon and come in on Monday morning and do things entirely differently. There are some people who I've seen do that, but it is not necessarily a repeatable model for success. So if you really want to scale this, you have to invest in that training and that infusing of people who have worked in this way.
Sure. You're going to stumble over all the same pitfalls otherwise.
That's exactly right. And you want to make sure that even after you get the training, that you get coaching. For, you're going to train a team, then you want coaching. Why do you want coaching? Because the coach is going to know whether the thing is coming off the rails or not. Until you've done this a few times, you're not going to recognize the signs of, is it coming off the rails, right? We started a couple of projects where we had trained the people and we didn't have a coach involved. And as soon as a coach came in after they started going off the rails, the coach said, well, of course, 3/4 of the team is only showing up for 25% of the time. Oh, okay, a classic sign of, well, you're not really working a different way, you're still, working the way that we used to work. So invest in coaching, invest in training, and if you want to, create, quote unquote, the guardrails of the methodology, so to speak, yourselves. I would argue that's not where the benefit is. The value of this is take one, they're all, give or take, roughly the same, to be honest. Take a way of doing it, a set of guardrails that works for your organization, and invest in getting everybody up to speed on that.
I agree. For us, I think there's 3 things you need to get this going. You need the training and the coaching, absolutely essential. You need business involvement,
Totally agree.
Infused into the team, and talent. I had mentioned talent earlier in the conversation. You're going to quickly see who is Agile ready, who has the mindset, and who's not going to make it. Can't do it by reading a book. You need a coach. That investment is a must-have. We would never have been able to do it without guidance and coaching and learning how to spot whether it's working or not. The business involvement in the team has been essential. We have a product owner on our most successful Scrum who is just part and parcel of the team. We call her an IT developer. That's how close to the team she's become. The talent, it took us 9 to 12 months to develop our A team that has produced the great results.
Yeah, I think as you kind of discover that maybe Agile is something you want to entertain, I think there's a couple key things to remember. I always like the phrase, Agile is something you become, not something you do. And it's a continual journey. As you said, you look for that foundation of the Agile practices and values, a foundation that the teams can build off of, that the enterprise can build off of. You can start applying lean thinking and systems thinking to it perhaps, and just a good foundation to improve from. But I've always, as I entertain clients that think they want to take this journey, there's 3 questions I always ask. What's the sense of urgency that's shared by both business and IT? For my last client, it was meeting expectations. The business and the IT was really just not meeting business expectations. They get the requirements, they go off in a corner, craft a solution, come back in a couple months, and that's not what we needed. That's what we told you, but now we need something else. So you need that shared sense of urgency, and as you said, it is a change. It's a large change. You need to manage it as a change. What if some of these lower talented individuals or individuals that just can't make the change, can't give up, maybe a project manager that just loves Gantt charts and control and is not willing to give that up. They'd probably be happier somewhere else. So as part of that change, are you willing to change up the teams as well? And then finally, it is a journey. I always say manage it like a project. You usually don't do a big bang, hey, tomorrow we're going to start Agile. It's usually do an assessment, looking at the environment, the process tools, the people, then perhaps doing a pilot, and then leading into an enterprise-wide transformation. The last client, we're underway with a pilot, and it's about 90 days into it. CIO came to me and said, guess what, pilot's over. We're rolling this all out. And I'm like, wow, we're going to need more coaches. But